And hello, everybody, and welcome here from Retail Asia. My name is Tim Charlton. Pleased to welcome you as a publisher and editor to today's event, which is APAC's Digital Evolution, Digital Trends that Change the World Virtual Roundtable. Now, today we would like to thank Payoneer for being our partner in organising this event with us. And I can tell you, they're a very passionate bunch and have put a lot of time and effort into ensuring that we have a really good event with fantastic speakers. So we have had a total of 248 RSVPs from over 24 countries, with 204 companies for today's event, including Walt Disney, Ninja Van, and many more companies. In our pre-meeting with the speakers last week, I can tell you there's a lot to cover and a lot to get through, which is going to be very interesting.
Cross-border commerce was, always there. And I think all of us as consumers, we all participated in cross-border commerce in some way or another. But there were challenges also with cross-border commerce. I think everybody on the panel has played a role in terms of helping to remove some of those barriers, whether it was logistics. That's a massive issue to be able to buy a good across borders and be able to get it back to your home as well, or being able to identify a brand or a particular label or a particular something that you want to be able to get access to. And I think all of those were challenges in the past, and different platforms, payments, logistics have gradually removed those barriers by being able to extend their reach into different markets and give access to consumers. So I think that's one of the big challenges. And I think, as the other panelists have shared, that obviously dramatically pivoted with the result of COVID. We're all at home. I think the numbers in terms of e-commerce, just to put it in perspective. So if you take e-commerce as just as a benchmark, cross-border e-commerce had a 2x level of growth, just to put that in perspective. So we're actually seeing the amount of cross-border e-commerce is just accelerating. And the other sort of phenomena I would call out is the rise of marketplaces. If you think about marketplaces and digital commerce, it's roughly about in excess of 50% of all digital transactions actually happen on a marketplace. And marketplaces, if you go back a couple of years, were probably the domain of very large organizations, either regionally or globally. But that phenomena has spread, and I think all of us can relate to marketplaces that are not just global or regional, but that are very specific to the places we live. And that's been another massive pivot in terms of driving cross-border commerce.
Of course, in one hand, we want to be able to have a market for sustainable products, but of course, we also do it because it's the right thing to be done. But definitely the growth trend of sustainable products and sustainable sort of doing commerce has grown substantially. In one hand is, of course, we have been seeing the growth of sustainable materials as one example, but we have also been seeing very strongly the growth of our pre-loved categories. So definitely this is a very big trend that at Zalora we even have disclosure our sustainable targets in light of that. But again, it's actually happening all the time. Together with that, another trend that it was a little bit surprising, I would say at the beginning, but we saw that very strong and staying. It's the growth of luxury. Just to give you a sense, we saw 3 digits year-over-year growth in luxury across all over the year. And although we saw that more exponentially at the beginning of COVID, and some I thought that, with the close of some online stores, actually luxury would come to play. What we actually saw is that it is a trend. So what used to be, just a small part of the market going online to buy luxury, we're seeing now it's becoming a little bit of the norm, as we saw in the other category, and a growth trend that we have been seeing in our data as well. And that definitely we're going to keep bringing and keep moving on. And I thought about sustainability and luxury. It's even nice to see how both can actually come together. So we also have quite a few pre-loved luxury products that we're selling, which we're seeing a pretty good traction. Since people want to have some sort of luxury good, but they also want to, in one hand, leverage on the good price that the pre-loved can bring, while at the same time they help the world with a more sustainability sort of proposition. And I think last but not the least, I commented at the beginning, I think people are realizing, just to add to my first point, it is growing because it's becoming easier and easier to buy online, right? And that's the fact. I think in comparison to the past, although we still have some pain points, you're going to always have many of these pain points on the payment side, logistics side, they have been shrinking, and they have been less problems and actually more opportunities, as one of my colleagues correctly said about the buy now, pay later as one example, right? But I think together with that, people are also realizing that, yes, buying online is getting easy, but it's always getting fun, I was trying to say. And I brought it here today, not the Zalora logo, but the Z Live logo, that is our live streaming platform, exactly to point it out, because at the end of the game, what we're realizing is that corporate entertainment is actually another trend. And we're seeing that very strongly in our data, right? People want to go and buy online, but they also want to feel a bit the experience that they used to have, or they still have on the offline space. So when they go online, they want to feel inspired, they want to feel engaged. And that also brings with all the social experience, right? Live shopping being one of those points. But I can stay here the whole day talking about social commerce and all these points, because I think that's a biggest sense that we have been seeing on the data, on the GZen, but all across all our cohorts, that people want to go online and buy online because it's easy. It's easy to find the best deal. You have all the assortment there.
Especially in the fast-moving consumer goods category, right? The CPG category. Especially, in India, we are seeing a sort of a boom in here, right? So the funding in D2C startups this year is already crossed about $700 million, right? So, and just to give you perspective, this is more than the last 5 years combined, right? So this is just D2C FMCG brands, right? Or CPG brands in that sense. So it's never been actually easier to start a D2C startup, right? So, whether it's for a large brand or whether it's for, a company which is just a startup, right? So in that sense, you have technology providers like Shopify or WooCommerce, BigCommerce, etc., which have stacks available. You've got, plug and play payment solutions like Payoneer, etc. You've got, of course, logistics providers, plug and play again, very easy to start up. So, effectively you can go from, let's say, zero to, start, launch within a period of 45 or 60 days, right? So it's really easy to do that. Having said that, my point is actually it's not for everybody. Okay, so D2C, while it is a trend, but I have a contrarian view. It is not meant for every brand, right? It really depends on the brand promise, or depends on what the consumer wants from that brand, right? So let me explain that further. So when you're looking at a D2C site, it cannot be a me too. It needs to be a differentiated offering. There needs to be not one but many USPs of the site. It could be in the form of a product which is not available elsewhere. It could be in the form of a customization or a personalization, or it could be in the form of a service. For example, on some of our own websites, right? Like, we have brands like Kiehl's, a luxury skincare brand, or Lancome, and, and so on and so forth, right? We provide experiences, right? Which means that you have a beauty advisor or a customer care person who's there and who can provide you live advice on it. And, we also provide services like virtual try-on or skin diagnostic online. So which sort of differentiates, right, from a typical marketplace, right? So which means when you're choosing a product, right, what kind of engagement and what kind of experience are you providing? And I kind of agree with what Quiron was saying, and I think some of the I saw a question also. So gamifying the experience, and that's where you're seeing a lot more learning-led, commerce, right? Which means you have influencers or KOLs who are basically talking about a product and then basically being able to sell. So you're seeing new models or evolution of commerce, right? Going towards advice, consultation, and so on and so forth. So how do you package all of this into a D2C site, right? At the end of the day, it's going to be a game around the P&L, right? And again, let me try to make it a little specific. So what is the cost of customer acquisition that a brand has on a marketplace platform, right? Let's say if it's X, then for sure on the D2C side, it'll be more than X in terms of the cost of customer acquisition. So then the question basically becomes, can your CLTV or customer lifetime value actually justify that cost? Can you build the loyalty? Can you build the retention over a period of time? Right? That drives the CLTV. So what provides the stickiness on the site? That's going to be the really the million or the $1 billion question, right? So, the other thing, especially when it comes to DTC startups, is that in what you're seeing from the first wave of DTC startups in the US and elsewhere in the world, right? Like the Warby Parkers or the Dollar Shave Clubs of the world, right? What you're seeing is it was very easy, or Allbirds, etc. What you're seeing is that they've grown in size. It's become very easy to start up and grow in size to a certain level, but beyond that is a tough one, right? Because to scale that business beyond that, now you really need to understand again, what kind of value prop. So it all sort of, in my view, boils down to a USP or a set of USPs which differentiate this from any other e-commerce platform.
You need to have some uniqueness, in what you sell. If not, everyone is online is selling the same thing, basically, right? And then the second thing is also how to make it even easier for people to be able to have their own stores. We know that there's a lot of stacks that's already available, like Shopify, WooCommerce, but again, to a lot of these other people who, especially those that suffers from the COVID on the retail, they will need a lot more guidance and helps to actually bring them online. And that's where we actually started to make the solutions to be more integrated. We call them the Presto Direct, which basically enable anyone to be able to set up their own store in minutes, and literally minutes, just a few clicks. We integrate all the logistics services that we have. We integrate to our warehouse to facilitate them to do drop shipping. But that is not enough, actually, because at the end of the day, it's also about experience, like we some of the panelists also mentioned multiple times. That's where I think video e-commerce definitely is the way moving forward, whether it's in the live form or whether it's a TikTok form.
Very interesting organizations across the world, across, as I mentioned, in social, gaming, digital marketplaces, freelancing. And, I guess the one thing that we always sort of see as the untapped potential is being able to, give what consumers want. Consumers want more choice. They want broader product selections, right? They want broader product selections. They want better pricing. They want all of that. And I think, again, when we look at platforms and marketplaces in some parts of the world, we're like, there's an amazing network of entrepreneurs and sellers out there that, I think it's great if you can expand your borders and not be limited to just one market. So I think there's that perspective. And then the other side of it is all these amazing sellers and entrepreneurs and gamers and freelancers, for them to realize their potential is not limited to just their border or their city. They can fulfill this potential and expand what they do, and frankly their earning potential by going across the globe. And again, I think that's where we see ourselves playing a role in being able to facilitate that connection between themselves and platforms across the board, some of which are represented here in terms of doing really exciting things and being able to connect so that there's no longer the limitations of commerce. It really is borderless commerce.